legend here, Bob Sheridan, here in New Zealand for probably what, the 15th, 20th time. You're a bit of a local hometown hero here in New Zealand now, right?
Well, I don't know about a local hometown hero, but I've been here actually more than 15 times.
Oh, okay.
I've been down here because I did all of David Tua's fights and Shane Cameron's fights, and before that Marcelino Masoi fights. So I've been coming down here quite a bit. So you're right about one thing, it's like a second home.
You probably see more fights than a lot of New Zealand Kiwis. Now you talked about the fight, it's a pretty big fight. Like anything can go down in a heavyweight boxing match. You said 5 to 6 rounds, it's going to be an absolute banger, but maybe after that it could be a little bit downhill. Who knows? What are your thoughts on those first 5 to 6 rounds?
Well, you analyze that pretty well yourself. You never know what's going to happen in the ring, you know, especially with heavyweights. I mean, here's a week or so ago, Josh was cruising along, pretty close fight with Klitschko. All of a sudden, a big uppercut and the fight's over in the 11th round. It was just the big uppercut that I had been waiting for the whole night, and Anthony Joshua goes on and you know, defends his title. Now this guy that Joseph's fighting, Cojanu, is a huge man. A couple of factors is, number one, you know, they train with 16-ounce gloves. They're wearing 10-ounce championship gloves. This guy's a massive man, 6'7½", 270 pounds, and he can bang, he can hit. So Joseph has a couple of issues. Number one, controlling the boxing, controlling the power. He's got to keep turning him. This guy fights kind of like an Eastern European guy with the hands up high. So with that, I would expect Joseph would try to work the body, keep turning him, keep pounding the body, try to get those hands down. And when the opportunity comes, try to take him out. On the other hand, there's always a danger when you have a taller guy fighting a shorter guy. It's hard to imagine talking about Joseph as a short guy. He's 6'4", you know. But he is the shorter guy in this case, and there's always a danger of cuts around the eyes. And so I worry about that, because a bad cut around the eye would put Joseph out of action for a good 6 months. So you gotta consider that. And for the Cojanu too, this is the Super Bowl for him. It's a World Cup soccer match for him. It's the World Series, Super Bowl, and the Olympic Games all wrapped into one night. This is the biggest night of his fighting career. And what nobody else is talking about, in Romania, this is the biggest sporting event in the history of the country. So, I mean, this is huge for this guy. So you can be sure that he's going to give everything he has. And will it be good enough? That's what we'll find out tomorrow night.
Well said, beautifully said. And, you know, if the public don't know, you were actually there for the Buster Tyson fight, where probably one of the biggest upsets in history ever happened. Will we see it? Maybe not, but anything can go down in heavyweight history, in heavyweight boxing. One hit can change it all.
Not only was I there for that fight, but many years before that I was there when a guy with 11 professional fights named Leon Spinks stopped Muhammad Ali.
There you go.
I was there when, for the knockout, when Buster Douglas, and it was the night of his life. His mother had just died. He was paying tribute to his mom. Tyson didn't want to be there. Nothing was quite right for him emotionally. And gradually, Douglas took the fight away and took the heavyweight championship of the world. There have been other big upsets in boxing. George Foreman lost every single round in the fight against Michael Moore, every round. And all of a sudden, in the 12th and final round, he hits him with one shot and knocks him out and wins. So in heavyweight boxing, it's always sudden death, which makes heavyweight boxing really exciting. I've called over 100 heavyweight championship fights, and on Saturday night it'll be my 1,010th world title fight over 50 years. So I've seen a lot of good fights over the years and a lot of upsets, and I hope we don't see an upset on Saturday night, because I know Joseph very well. I know the whole family. They're lovely people, and I've been with them since the start down here in New Zealand, and I'd like to go on the rest of the journey with them.
Well, in saying that, with the journey, and obviously with Juco backing Parker, they've obviously created a profile and created some good fights. They've got Jeff Horn, Pacquiao in Australia in a couple months' time. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously the build-up, the lead-up. What a great journey it's been, and how do you think that fight's going to go down?
Well, that's an interesting fight too, because you never know what night that Manny Pacquiao gets old. like the night Muhammad Ali got old against Leon Spinks, like maybe Klitschko did against Joshua. You know, you won't get anybody to say that he wasn't in shape for that fight, because he was. But one of these fights, Manny Pacquiao, if he doesn't retire, is going to get old in a hurry. Jeff Horn has got a great chin. He also can come off the canvas. He's been knocked down. He can come off the canvas and come back. Let me tell you this. Bob Arum hasn't put Manny Pacquiao up against Jeff Horn because anyone at Top Rank thinks that this kid Jeff Horn can beat him. But Jeff Horn is a very, very big puncher. And we know from the Marquez fight that, you know, he can go if he's hit. So, you know, the fight can be sold. It's not a step over for Manny. I will say for Manny Pacquiao, he's like an 8-time world champion. He's a sure first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a tremendous fighter, tremendous athlete, and a tremendous guy. And so is Jeff Horn. But Horn hasn't been through the struggles that Manny Pacquiao's been through. This is going to be a struggle for him. And if he has the night of his life and Manny's slightly off, you might have a new world champion. You never know.
Suffice to say, you're looking forward to it, right?
Oh, I'm looking forward to it because I've called so many of Manny's fights, and I've called almost all of Jeff's fights too. I know both of them very well. They're both wonderful individuals. I know their families. I know the background of both fighters. They're friends. And in my business, the problem is when you get two guys that you're fond of and they're fighting each other, it's like with Joe Parker. You know, he's a friend besides being you know, a guy that I do commentary for. So
it's probably the hardest thing at times. Obviously, you're a great personality, a good personality. You know half these people and half of them are friends. It must be hard when you commentate and just be in that neutral spot.
Well, you try to be, because I got to remember, you know, this fight, even though Joseph Parker's in my heart, for Cojanu, there's going to be a lot of people down in Romania and that part of the world that are rooting for him. And so I have to be, you know, as fair as I can be. Sometimes when I'm judging the fight, I'll say to people, you know, maybe, you know, here's a tight round, I gave it to Joe, maybe I'm off on that because I'm a little close. I just say it right out, I'm a little close, as I was to David Tua. So I might have some rounds that aren't quite right because I'm a little too close to the fighter. But it's, you try to be as fair as you can, and you got to remember when you're doing a world telecast that not everybody watching that telecast tomorrow night is a fan of Joseph Parker. There's a good part of Eastern Europe that is hoping that there can be a major upset. So you have to try to keep that in mind, and I do the best I can.
Well, that's like why we like having you here. It's been a pleasure. Thank you again, and many more to come.
Okay, thanks very much.
Legend. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
We ready to go, Annie?